So it was my pleasure to speak with the Marketing Science Institute today about the revitalization at McDonald's, which has been an ongoing and constant effort since the years 2002-2003. McDonald's found itself losing 2/3 of its market capitalization in a period of 3 years. A stock price of $15 meant that Wall Street valued the future growth of the company at essentially zero. And from there, a revitalization effort was put into place. And that revitalization effort was guided by a strategic thought. That thought was better, not just bigger. We wanted to run better restaurants and not grow only by opening new restaurants. With an installed base of 30,000 restaurants, you can't open enough new restaurants if your same-store sales aren't growing. So that strategy, better not just bigger, was supported by what we called our Plan to Win, which laid out a framework for us to strategize about the business. And there really were 3 guiding principles. The first of which was that we needed to focus on operational excellence. Better, not just bigger. Run the restaurants that we had better. And there was a tremendous effort with a metric that stretched all the way from the crew room to the boardroom to make sure that we began to run better restaurants. And we've maintained focus on that for the last 6 or 7 years. And by any measure and metric we have, we are running much better restaurants, which drives customer satisfaction. The second platform was financial discipline, which essentially meant that we reduced the amount of capital expenditure and redirected it. So we continued to open new restaurants, but we really spent more money fixing the ones that we had, making them relevant, and making them contemporary in their appearance. In some countries like Australia, France, Germany really got out in front of that and demonstrated to the rest of the company how important those remodeled restaurants are. And then the third platform was leadership marketing. And we worked very hard under the leadership of the entire executive team to restore the relevance of the brand with any number of significant initiatives that made it much easier for people to say yes to McDonald's again. We grew baseline sales, full revenue sales, in dramatic fashion by introducing products like white meat nuggets, by putting milk into milk jugs that had Ronald McDonald on them so they're easier to reseal. We also introduced snack wraps, which wraps sent a message of increased permissibility, a lighter eating experience, fulfilled a need that we weren't fully meeting until we introduced a product like that. In addition, the restaurant designs, which we call less is more, enabled us to have a much more enjoyable eating experience. And then, of course, there was local innovation as well, where we introduced, for example, delivery into Singapore. Singapore, vertical density, a culture of food being delivered to your home, and to fully participate in an informal eating out marketplace. Well, very important to have delivery as part of your mix of services. One of the purposes of MSI, and one of the reasons we at McDonald's support MSI, is because we bring together the best academic thinking and current practices and issues from an industry standpoint. And before I spoke this morning, Greg Carpenter spoke, and there was just some really strong thematic connection between what he had to say and what I had to say. Just a couple of points, one of which is the direct impact on market capitalization that customer satisfaction and brand differentiation can bring to a business. That's a big part of the McDonald's story. Secondly, Greg also talked about consumer learning and the importance of recognizing that consumer knowledge about brands is not static. It's constantly changing. Their source of knowledge is constantly shifting. And part of this McDonald's success story could be viewed in those perspectives, that there were things customers had to learn about McDonald's in ways we had changed and introduced new products, new services, the new restaurants, but also there were things we wanted them to unlearn about McDonald's based on their long-term memories. And as we brought greater service capabilities to the restaurants, dramatically improved the way we were serving people as well as what we were serving them, we needed people to unlearn some of what they thought they knew about McDonald's.